Amazon rainforest covers an area the size of Australia. It is host to half of all species of life on Earth, many of them lethal. It is no place to be lost alone. In the jungle, there are countless ways to die.
I was no longer thinking about Yossi, I was thinking about my life. I didn't have anything left. So now I was trying to save my life, and that's what I did.
That night, the fear was so big that every minute, every little thing I'll hear, I'll just jump and I'll start looking around to make sure there's no animal coming. I just clearly heard some branch breaking. Something is moving. I knew, I'm not imagining that something is moving near me. I look with the flashlight around, but the moment I put the beam on, I see the face of a jaguar. I had a cigarette lighter and I had a can of repellent. And I remember that I saw that in a movie that you can actually set the repellent on fire. The flame died, and there was no jaguar, like I managed to scare him. I sat there for the rest of the night, and I started crying and screaming and trembling. It was consuming, that fear.
Yossi heads for the mining camp at Curry Playa. From there, he will pick up the trail to the village of San Jose and safety.
And here I am singing out loud, my chest open, enjoying the scenery and fully trusting I'm gonna make it.
After hours on the river, Kevin's condition is critical. He's barely conscious and has no idea if he has passed San Jose or not.
All of a sudden, I see a canoe. The current is swift, so it's taking me downriver quite a ways. And then finally, they turned their heads and they began waving their arms. Like this, like downriver, downriver. So I let go of the branch I'd been holding on to, and I began swimming towards the shore. When they approached me, they asked two questions. They asked me if I was lost, and then they asked me if I was hungry. It was kind of funny.
Yossi pushes on towards the old mining camp. With the rice gone, he's surviving on little more than scraps of fruit scavenged from the jungle floor.
I just made it a rule. I'm not gonna lose the river again. The rain was merciless. It was so tough. The night came and it was very hard to escape. What happened is quite unbelievable. I didn't know of that phenomena, but literally the jungle started collapsing. me seconds to understand, but by the time I understood, it was too late. It was a flood.
I went to the office of the commander and I spoke to him. And he said if a gringo, a traveler, was lost in the jungle, that he didn't have a chance.
Si él fuera tu hijo, o tu hermano.
¿Por qué no te regresas a los Estados Unidos, donde tu familia?
A pasar las fiestas navideñas.
Pero hay una persona perdida en la selva.
Something bit me. It was a strong bite. And I can feel it's like a termite, an ant. And then another bite, and then another bite. And then I attracted a nest of termites. And there were like hundreds of them, and then thousands of them, and I couldn't escape. There was no way I could escape. But the worst horror was the ray of light hitting a red carpet, you know, like everything around me. 5-6 meters around me, everywhere. It was all red and moving. My body was like a colander. There was no place in my body that wasn't bleeding. And I just had to escape now. And I stood on my feet and I kept on walking. On my knees, on my elbows, I'm crawling. Suddenly I started seeing a few things that I recognized, and it was actually Kuriplaya. I went all the way back to that deserted mining camp, but the mining camp wasn't there anymore. The flood took everything. So, you know, I'm already in like the zone of like delirium. I'm just trying to get rid of that wasp, and it's so strong, that noise. In a certain point, I think maybe it's trapped inside the mosquito nets. And I raise my head and I just try to get rid of that wasp. And the buzz is in my ears. And as I raise my head, and I don't see the wasp. But when I turn my head, right there on the beach, I see shades and people. I mean, it's like at that stage, I don't know what's going on. Just, you know, like Kevin, like a flesh is already there, and I'm collapsing in his arms, and we just hold each other and hold each other. It's now just emotion. We cry and cry and cry.
I couldn't believe it that we'd found him. If he would have been upstream, just 100 yards away, he wouldn't have heard us. We wouldn't have seen him. I mean, it's literally 1 in a million.